at me, that sounds really like accused. I know what you're doing with that outfit, because it does work really with the white and the green. It's actually great.
It looks
I don't know
on
if you could do
brand,
better, but equally I think part of it is the more natural.
I'm very happy.
The better.
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Did you say I think you could do better?
Yeah.
With his outfit?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Welcome
really looking.
to the podcast.
I'm really looking forward to this sort
Yeah,
of feedback.
it's an
Like,
unscripted,
wow.
real talk.
Yeah. This is on camera. Can you imagine what she says backstage?
When it's not rolling.
Brutal.
Thank you for joining us in the chairs. Welcome to CMS Unscripted.
Thank you. And what chairs they are. Yeah.
They
These
move.
are,
Can you want to do a little test, like a
I think
test
our
drive?
camera
Make
people
sure
are
that
going
you
to
can.
have a fit if we...
Oh, well, no doubt.
No, don't do that. Cancel that idea. So, Colin, we know who you are, but
Head of Knowledge.
Yeah, Head of
very
Knowledge. Tell us
mystic
about
title.
that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, first on the title, I think like during my 20s, I did a lot of travel to the Eastern European offices in CMS. And I genuinely think my friends thought I was a spy for the longest time. Because outside legal, I think head of knowledge doesn't mean a massive amount. I mean, what does it mean? Head of general knowledge, like pub master of quizzes, I don't know.
Are you a quizzer?
I am a bit.
See, there we go.
I do lean into that a bit. But I think probably, what is knowledge at a law firm? And I think even if you ask most lawyers, the first word that comes to mind is library. And there is a bit of that. But I think if I was to sum it up, I think knowledge is there to make sure our lawyers work smarter and get smarter. And I think we try to do that in a couple of ways. I think, looking at CMS, there's a huge breadth of expertise. There's a huge depth of expertise. And that's growing and developing with every transaction we do and every deal we make. So it's how do we capture and codify that? How do we harness it and actually put it back in people's hands when they're doing that the next time? And of course, being cognizant of the fact the law and the market is changing all the time. So there's a lot of information we have to kind of think about to kind of develop our practice and what we're doing. So really, I think, knowledge management is the core of it. And the opportunity really is to make sure we're not reinventing the wheel every time we do something. It's making sure that we're doing it to the highest quality and also efficiently as well. So that's kind of what it's all about. And of course, there's internal know-how, which is kind of what I was talking about now. But the other aspect is going out to the market and buying in the best quality information and data from, the big publishers like Thomson Reuters and Lexis that you guys have probably heard of, is putting that into our lawyers' hands as well. And with all those changes in the law and in the market, making sure that we're plugged in to those sources properly, we're aware of those developments, and we're actually cutting out the noise as much as possible, because we all know we're inundated with emails all the time. So it's that kind of filtering, getting the data and making sure we're capturing what we're learning as well.
Does it also involve being a spy?
No, unfortunately not.
I
don't know if I'd be very good at it, if I'm honest. I kind of
Really?
went with it and left an air of mystery when anyone asked me the question. But
You interviewed at
pens.
MI6, didn't you? Actually,
I did.
Maybe
And
he is a
I
spy.
think
Yeah.
that caused even more speculation back in there.
brilliant.
Needless to say, I wasn't successful. But
That's what
here
they
we
would
are.
It's a
say.
great double bluff.
Or
It's
maybe
a
that's
great-
just what I'm saying. Yeah.
Do you have a favourite bit of knowledge?
A favourite bit of knowledge? I think, the team at CMS, I'll talk about that. I think knowledge management is very much the kind of strategic part of it.
Yeah.
It's doing all those processes, putting in place the right tech and evaluating all those products that enable that knowledge capture and reuse. That's the kind of center of it. And I think actually a lot of what knowledge does flows through that. I think within the team, we've got very different flavors within the team as well. So we've got our kind of core legal and commercial research teams that they kind of do what they say in the tin. They're delivering kind of really high quality legal and commercial research based on all this data we've got. And that's in support of kind of business development, like understanding our clients better, and also just understanding law as it is. We've also got knowledge systems, which looks after Horizon. So Horizon is the intranet to most of us in business services, but it's actually the knowledge management system for the firm as well. So it's where all those kind of crown jewel precedents and know-how live and where they're maintained. I think where the rubber really hits the road actually is with the Knowledge Council and the practice groups. So I think in the market, they're known as professional support lawyers, knowledge development lawyers. Here, they're Knowledge Council. And I think that actually really accurately conveys what they do. They are kind of real subject matter expert in their practice and in their group. And really what they're doing is kind of maintaining those kind of crown jewel documents and guidance, putting the technical training together that keeps our lawyers developing with all the changes and making sure they know what they need to know. And really what knowledge is about from the middle is supporting that and making that happen. So I think the Knowledge Council is really the real business end of it, I would say.
And is AI actually making that more exciting, that you can kind of get more knowledge and kind of more easily process it, or is it more challenging because there's more slop and it can get things wrong as well?
I think there's a lot in what you just said. I think probably stepping back for a sec, I think knowledge kind of felt like the uncool sibling of legal tech and innovation for quite a while. Much in the same way when I hang out with you, I just don't feel quite as hip and don't feel quite as cool. I think that's fair to say.
We can talk about that later, Colin, because that's
I'll save that for a chaise longue when I really need to get this off my
when
chest.
at the end you go, wah!
I feel I need to insert a self-deprecating comment here. But
Too late.
You're
We're
not
moving
going
on.
to.
Too late. I missed the opportunity.
But anyway, back to AI. But I think actually like that's changing, and I think the business is trying to change how it does things and kind of transform its ways of working, to really capture all the benefits of AI. And like AI, we've got through I think 2 minutes without mentioning AI, which is a personal record. But really, while the business is trying to do that, I think what's coming back into focus is actually those fundamentals of knowledge management are absolutely critical. And I think the easiest way to express that is rubbish in, rubbish out. I think to use these tools effectively and with minimal risk and to get the best output, you need quality data and know-how to ground it and to put into it. So in terms of how those teams are going to develop, it's going to be less about delivery, I think, and it'll be more about becoming kind of real experts in how to get the most out of this tech in the same way they really know the info sources now, and actually being able to kind of do things that we weren't able to do before.
Is there a bit of fact checking that needs to happen then as well? If, for instance, your commercial research team does like uses an AI to collate all of that, do you need to, that might take a bit more time now, I imagine.
100%. And I think, this particularly on the legal research side, that has been a real thing for us. And it's made us actually step back and go like, what are our standard ways of working and how do we want to make sure this is done consistently? And I think what you see initially is, well, all the upside and the speed of AI is not necessarily what it appears, because you need to do that validation, you need to do that grounding. And that's why I think the legal research team is well positioned to keep doing this, because they understand that process and that's their bread and butter. But on the commercial research side, that is generally free market data. It's out there. The tools are incredibly capable. And I think what we've found is we can do a lot with the prompting up front to actually sort of point at the sources we know and want and actually get the most out of the tools. So I think prompting probably feels a bit old hat now. I think like the kind of world has moved on. The tools don't need as much help. But actually we found there's still a huge amount to think about in kind of having governance and control and structure around our prompts, making sure we use them consistently as well.
What gives you the most hope when it comes to technology and so on?
So we're actually working with Microsoft at the moment on developing knowledge agents. And what we're imagining in the future is there'll be a kind of ecosystem of these within Copilot that are actually targeted and grounded in the department's know-how. It's tuned to think about the questions and I think the knowledge retrieval that those people want. And actually it's going to be able to kind of do that retrieval for you much more effectively than just searching. And eventually you can imagine it's in Word, it's pulling drafting, it's really sort of, changing the game.
Yeah, I'm just kind of this agent that you imagine. It feels like we're talking about spies again, but are
Yeah.
they
It
going to
is
be an
from the
agent
Matrix.
on our like
Read into
desktop?
it what you will.
Is he going to be my friend or she or it?
No, I think...
What would it look like? Because as someone who struggles a little, I like human beings, and tell me more about agents.
Imagine an agent as a sort of custom Copilot that's really focused on something you specifically want to do. So in Copilot now, you can actually build one yourself. I built one to help me with my modus reviews this year.
Ooh.
It helps me think about actually
Do you have a name
summarize.
for it?
I think it's just called Modus Agent, which is incredibly unimaginative. But it's really interesting because what it does is it looks at my kind of reviews from my reviewees. It gives me nice summaries of those, which is obviously nice and helpful. But what it does is it looks across them and it finds themes and it finds places where we can either be collaborating a bit better or we can do some more development for the team, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah, that's great.
So at a basic level, an agent is just a really finely tuned Copilot assistant that's focused on a specific use case.
So what do you think your future lawyer looks like in 5, 10, 15 years time?
I think, you look back sort of 10 years ago and there was this whole buzz around lawyers need to learn to code. And I think we've, if anything, gone in the complete opposite direction of that. But yeah, I think, what is the market going to need and what are our clients going to need and what's actually our duty as lawyers to them? I think at its core, it's still going to be expertise, but it's the meaning of how we do that training and development is going to alter. It's not actually the sort of understanding of the law and what it means to deliver it. I think that will still be there. So, I think at this stage it's thinking, how do tools like Harvey actually enable training and actually enable skills development in a way that we're, previously we've framed it as a market as actually this is cutting juniors out of the process and this is kind of eliminating their opportunities to development. I'd actually look at it a different way. They're potentially a hugely important and valuable tool in getting that right and creating scenarios and situations where they can learn a huge amount. But I think we're already starting that journey as a firm, but there's a long way to go. And yeah, I think the sense I get on all of this is like, you can't move too slowly. We have to go now. And yeah, I think that's going to be a big focus for us and our Knowledge Council in the next little while.
I guess one of the things that AI will never be able to do, and I mentioned this in another episode, is context, right?
Yeah.
Just it can actually process as much information as you give it, but it won't be present in every single room and in every single phone conversation. It won't actually be exposed to every single thing.
Yeah.
So actually, if we train our lawyers to actually, or junior lawyers to actually really apply that context and the relationship building and all that kind of stuff to kind of an AI environment, that's kind of really
that's
value,
actually a really
right?
nice framing. I think like the human element becomes even more important. It's that understanding and that empathy that actually is really, really impossible to replace. And because of that, actually that becomes a bigger part of what we need people to do and what people need to think.
Totally. I remember when I was a trainee, like the PSLs were kind of godlike because they understood when you went with a question, like who the client was, what the personalities were that you were dealing with, what sort of thing they'd want, as well as the technical kind of side of it. And shout out to Claire Walker from the Oldswang days for helping so much with everything, actually. And they were such a big part of everyone's development. So I guess it's sort of trying to make sure they have more time to do that bit that is the magic, I guess. Because there's magic, right, in, I think, good legal advice. Don't quote me on that. I think there is. No, I'm going to stick with that.
That's a great soundbite. That's going to be
thank you.
up front in the episode, I thought.
What,
Like,
magic?
in the
Can't say it now.
In the teaser. Not that you'll need a teaser.
Yeah, exactly. For our bomber jackets, Bram thinks we should have branded bomber jackets for our podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, across the board, AI has the ability to eliminate a lot of the kind of low-level, more drudgery work. And I think that's the
to
other
enable
way.
the really interesting bit,
To
right? Which is
enable-
why most people become lawyers in the first place.
There you
I've
go.
got a question for you, which is something we're also going to ask our guests when they come. Your job, it sounds amazing, like it sounds super, super interesting. How do you get into knowledge? How did you get into knowledge? Do you ever
How did I
imagine?
get
Did you
into knowledge?
apply?
Build
How
up
does
a
it-
lot of knowledge.
Yeah, I
until
know. We're
it
going to
spills
go back
over.
to like,
I have
exactly.
completed
until
Wikipedia.
You won
Yeah.
every pub quiz, and but how did you get into it? How does
So-
one get into it?
Yeah, so I've been at CMS my whole career, which I think is pretty unique these days. And actually, I did law at university. I wasn't actually sure what I wanted to do with it. And a friend of mine was becoming a trainee down in London, and I met her for coffee in Edinburgh, and she's like, "You need to come to London. It's great. It's awesome. Get down there." And yeah, of course I wanted to do that. And actually, a few weeks later, there was a temporary contract coming up in the change team, it was known. I didn't actually know what that meant, whether it was, petty cash or in accounting or something like that, but it was actually a precursor to the innovation team. And back then it was less about, AI and all the kind of sexy stuff we're talking about now. It was like rolling out paperless pro forma and online billing and like new accounts payable processes. I came down and interviewed at CMS, and 2 days later they asked me to start. So I moved to London in a couple of days, which was a lot. I did that for the kind of 6-month contract, and then I actually went to real estate for 6 months, paralegaling. I was still kind of working out what I wanted to do, and then a really interesting job came up with the previous head of knowledge, which was to essentially become the Knowledge Council or PSL for our Central and Eastern European offices. And this is where the kind of spy lore started, I think. And it was a really cool job in the sense that I didn't have to be qualified to do that. It was more about actually being a bit of a bridge back to the centre and like making sure that the region was leveraging all the kind of, the Knowledge Council support in London, the training resources, and actually supporting some of the kind of transformation projects the business was doing as well, and doing some legal research and putting in place some of those knowledge fundamentals. Like I talked about the training and the capture, and back then there was a lot of document automation potential as well. And did that for, I think, 5 or 6 years. It was amazing. Traveled lots. I was in my 20s. Amazing people. It was great. It was perfect. And actually then, at the time of the merger was it 2016? 2017. I started doing a lot of work, kind of support the integration of all the know-how and bringing the knowledge councils together at that point. And when my predecessor left, they asked me to take on the head of knowledge role, which was not where I expected to be. So that's a very long way of saying it was a bit of a journey. But I've been doing that for 5 years now. absolutely love it. We've got a great team. And I think, as you say, there's a lot of variety in what the team does, which keeps it really exciting. And I think thinking back, like, oh God, I've been in the same place for so long. I think the firm has changed so much during that time. And I think, I think the easy answer to like, why do you like CMS or why have you stayed at CMS is like, it's the people. And it really is. There's such high caliber people here. And there is a genuine, I think, wish to kind of collaborate and do things together and support each other. But really, I think it's that constant change and growth, which is just so exciting.
I think one lesson from that is also when we're talking to young people, as it were, as an audience.
What are you saying, Bram?
That we're not young, is that?
To be continued another time.
Is
young is a
that
frame
people
of mind,
don't need
right?
to have a map for their career, right? As long as you you never know where you're going to end up. As long as you have a bit of a compass, you don't really need a map, right? And you might end up in
completely. And yeah, I didn't even know what knowledge was when I left university, or even when I started at the firm. So yeah, you never know where you're going to end up. But I think I've been really lucky with the opportunities the firm has given me, and I think actually take advantage of those if you're in that position
Absolutely.
as well.
And what do you see what's next?
For me,
Yeah.
or for knowledge? Oh God.
Oh, God, for knowledge, AI, anything, any way you want to answer it.
For me, I think, yes. I think we need to get Angus off to nursery. I think that's gonna change a lot.
Yeah.
But
That makes
yeah,
such
I
a big
think-
difference, though, when you've got other things that you're balancing in the
big
background.
outsourcing exercise.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Well, no, look, I think I touched on kind of research. I think there's a lot more we can do to really kind of develop and optimize how we're going to use all this tech and AI to support the business with that, which is a really exciting journey that we're going to go on with the team. So that's great. I think the Copilot agents piece is our current focus. I think that's just the start. I think that is going to grow and become much more capable, and actually a massive part of how we deliver and focus as a knowledge team. And yeah, for me, I don't know, like I've been flirting with qualifying actually, which is something that is not to be taken on lightly, but for me, it kind of feels like unfinished business, which would be quite interesting. But I think doing fortune telling on where the legal market is going or where AI is going is a very dangerous business. And I think, probably also reflecting the fact we've got a new managing partner now, new strategy, super exciting, and that's often a catalyst for lots of real cool and exciting change. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
I guess with AI as well, it's the same, right? Where we can have a bit of a compass where we kind of know as roughly the direction we want to head, but we don't have a map for that either, right?
No, completely.
Yeah. You don't have a map for anything, do you? You can't, in a way.
No,
That's quite philosophical and deep.
it really is.
I was thinking about someone recently recommended a kind of podcast website called Squiggly Career, which is all about, which I just thought was such a brilliant idea. So people often think about, I guess, careers or the future or anything as being quite linear.
Yeah.
But actually this is just saying it's all like this, and, we all sort of end up and enjoy the journey. And it's actually it's a great resource for kind of podcasts and tips and coaching and all sorts of different things in that world.
Well, let me turn this around. I mean,
Yes.
who are your podcast inspirations? Like, who are we?
Oh,
great.
great.
Who are we channeling? What do you guys listen
I
to?
actually have a good answer to that because I was listening to her on walking through the city this morning
Nice.
to get here. Probably less power walking. It was more of a slow stroll. But Emily
Strutting.
Maitlis on
Emily Maitlis. Who's she?
on the journalist.
Former news.
I feel
former
like-
news night.
Yeah, former Newsnight.
All right, yeah.
Just a brilliant journalist, and she's got the News Agents.
Oh, I've heard
Back
of
to
that.
Agents
Yeah.
podcast, and I just think she's absolutely wonderful. Also like Graham Norton.
Yeah, Graham Norton is brilliant.
Anything on Desert Island Discs.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
We flirted with the idea of it being being more Desert Island Discs, but
Yeah, I could
apparently-
imagine a spin-off like episode like your
Yeah.
top 5 standard forms, Colin, or something like that. Yeah. I don't think we get a lot of listeners, but
What's your number one precedent?
Yeah. What about you? What's been?
One of my favorite podcasts is Armchair Expert by Dax Shepard, which is basically he gets his Hollywood mates to come over and they chat about things. But I just
Cool.
really enjoy it because it goes a little bit deeper than just.
Yeah.
They talk about their childhoods and kind of it goes a little bit further. Quite enjoy that. That's quite.
Do you have a favourite?
I'm relentlessly making my way through The Rest is History at the moment, which is
Okay.
fantastic. And it kind of does what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
It is just, it's picking apart sort of key moments in history.
Yeah.
And it's two historians sort of dissecting that and delivering that in quite a humorous way a lot of the time. It's fantastic. And it's been my sort of accompaniment to various late nights when Angus was young. So yeah, it's a bit strange. You're kind of standing in the dark, kind of cradling the baby, listening to a sort of very in-depth podcast about, the history of Russia or something like that. And you're like,
Could you really bring it back to the age? There's the spy theme there. That
I have one more shameless plug, which
Do it.
is actually knowledge is through to the final 5 of CMS Ignite. And this would have been a very good answer to one of the questions earlier about what I'm particularly excited about. CMS Ignite was essentially a way of sort of developing and capturing the ideas for kind of, at a big level, new products and new lines of business for the firm, and at a small level, all the kind of process improvements and kind of cool ways of working that people have developed with tech and tools or otherwise. So 5 of these bigger ideas were selected to go through to a kind of product development process, working with a consultancy called Purple. So for the last sort of 4 weeks, our team's been building out, I can't talk about our product quite yet, but a very exciting new tool that we think actually has a place in the market and could potentially be funded by the firm, which is really, really exciting. And I think, if I'm being honest, sometimes the firm isn't fantastic at kind of productizing things and thinking about things through the way that product developers and entrepreneurs do. And actually what this process has given us is not the opportunity just to explore these 5 ideas, but a bit of a blueprint of how to do that in the future. So it's really exciting.
That's great. Well, it's a way of making innovation less vague, right? Making it very specific and very practical.
Yeah, and I think even just working with the 4 other teams through the process, we've had boot camps and mentoring sessions together, and actually I've learned so much about the firm and all of their different practices as well. So it's been super valuable.
By the time this airs,
yes,
it will have already been over, because we are airing this, I think, later than that date. So maybe you will have won, or maybe you will have
fingers
lost.
crossed.
Still, yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Colin, and good luck with the competition.
Thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. And I think honestly, this is such a great thing you're doing. Keep doing it. Love the episodes.
Yay!
Cheers.